Welcome to Cory's Stories. Are you ready to meditate with Cory?
Hi, my friend. I wanted to just jump in for a quick minute just before you listen to your story and say, if you love Heidi and Cherry and you love Tucker and Leo and you think you would like to be in one of their clubs, go to the link below my video and you can join the Cat Club or the Tucker and Leo Club, or you can join both the clubs called Raining Cats and Dogs. It's a club where you get 3 or 5 or 2 exclusive stories every month that are sent to you, and you get to have your name mentioned in those stories. If that's something that you want, then talk to your guardians, your mom, your dad, your auntie, your grandma, whoever it is that helps to take care of you, and ask them if you can join the cat club or the dog club. Okay, enjoy my story. I love you so much. Bye. Bye.
Are you ready to meditate with Cory? Climb up into your bed and get really, really comfortable. Make sure that everything is just right in your room. The light is just right. You're wearing your cozy pajamas. And all is well in the world so that you can relax your body and let go of your busy, busy day. Heidi, Cherry and Vaya had been invited to school. Goldie, one of their besties, had invited them to a history class. Cherry couldn't care less. Vaya was a little bit intrigued. This was more about Heidi. Goldie and Heidi had a lot in common. Goldie loved to read. Heidi loved to read. Goldie, her friend, had lots of similar interests. They both liked to talk about history. They both liked to talk about things like the government. They both liked to talk about all sorts of stuff that was interesting to them too. Not necessarily everybody else. But there was a very special event happening in Goldie's history class. It was kind of like a history test, but at the same time a lecture. And Goldie thought that Heidi, along with Cherry and Vaya, and Goldie thought that Heidi especially would enjoy the lecture, and if she wanted to, she could do the test as well. So that's what they were doing. They were sat in the history class with Goldie, and then Goldie was sat next to 2 of her friends, Lakshmi and Indigo. Lakshmi and Indigo were friends with Goldie, and they'd been friends with Goldie for a long time. And they happened to all be in the same history class. Lakshmi was not necessarily into history, but she was still good at it. And Indigo could take history or leave it. In fact, Indigo was probably a little bit more like Cherry. Cherry sat next to Indigo and she said, OMG, you know what? I'm here, right? I'm here. I'm making the effort. I'm here. I'm doing it for my friend. Well, for my sister. And Goldie's my friend. But you know, like, if I had to choose between history and like putting a screwdriver in my eyeball, then I think I'd probably put a screwdriver in my eyeball. Indigo started laughing. Yeah, I think I kind of feel like that too. I mean, not that I ever would put a screwdriver in my eyeball, because that sounds absolutely horrendous. Sounds awful. I would never do that to myself, right? I'm just joking and all that. You know what I mean? I'm just joking. But, you know, like, comparably, like, history to me is like, it's like, you know, when you have, I can explain it. You know, when you have like a bowl of cornflakes, right? You have a bowl of cornflakes and you're so excited and you put loads of sugar on them, and I know you're not supposed to, but you know, just bear with me because I like sugar on my cornflakes. And you put loads of sugar on your cornflakes and then you go to the fridge and you open the fridge and you open it and you go, where's the milk? And then you find the milk and you're all excited because you're like, OMG, I thought I'd run out of milk. And then you find your milk, right? And it's right there at the back of the fridge. And you pull the milk open and then you sniff the milk and you go, oh no, it's bad. What am I going to do now? Oh, it was going to be such a good breakfast. I was going to enjoy my cornflakes with all my sugar on it. It's going to be so interesting, so satisfying, so just amazing. It's going to fill up all of my senses, all of my taste buds, all of my interest in my brain. It's going to do all of that. That's what history's like. You think it's going to be like that, right? But then you get there and you go, oh no, it's actually a dry bowl of cornflakes with lots of sugar on it. And all that sugar's going to get like stuck to the top of my mouth because I put way too much on and now it's not going to melt. So now it's crunchy and it's even crunchier because the cornflakes are so dry and I'm sat there going, oh, this is so boring. It's going to take me like 10 hours to swallow this mouthful of cornflakes because it's so dry. Indigo said, Cherry, that was the perfect metaphor for what history is like. Cherry said, OMG, Indigo, me and you were like twinsies. Right, so true, so true. Vaya said to Lakshmi, do you like history, Lakshmi? They were talking amongst themselves as they were waiting for the lecturer to start. So it was okay to be talking at this point in class because all the other kids were kind of sat talking. Lakshmi said, it's okay. Vaya said, yeah, I kind of agree. I feel the same as you. It's just okay. If I had to choose a topic and a class that I would prefer to be in, it would probably be something like dance class, or maybe like an art class, or music. I'd prefer to be in like a music class, maybe where I could sing. Yeah, I'd like that. Lakshmi said, oh, I love singing class. It's the best. Vaya said, yes, me too. Even though I don't have the bestest singing voice, it's so much better than Cherry's, but don't tell her. Lakshmi said, everyone knows that Cherry's got the best singing voice, Vaya. But she was being very sarcastic, and Vaya knew that Lakshmi was being very sarcastic, so Vaya started to giggle, and then Lakshmi started to giggle, and then Cherry heard them giggling, and she said, what are you guys talking about? And Vaya said, we were just talking about your lovely singing voice. And Cherry said, OMG, I know, right, I know. I wonder if you can sing in a history class. Do you think they'll let you sing? All of a sudden, the teacher said, okay, we're ready. I'd like to introduce Miss Shelley. Miss Shelley is come from one of the other schools in our nearby area, and she's come to talk to us today about a particular time in history where all the governments were forming what is known as the amendments. Oh, said Heidi. Oh, I like this topic. Goldie said, yes, me too. They listened very intently through the whole lecture. Cherry at one point had to be woken up. Vaya elbowed her in the stomach and Cherry coughed. And then, because she coughed and breathed in too fast, she almost vomited. So she was making vomiting noises in the middle of the quiet history class. Jay, Vaya, it went down the wrong hole. The teacher said, shh, please, be quiet. Cherry went all pink in the cheeks as everyone in the class turned round and looked at her. Sorry, so sorry. I was just choking on my own spittle. Sorry about that, guys. Heidi said, Cherry, keep it together. It's almost finished. The lecture for Heidi and Goldie was absolutely enthralling. It was the bestest lecture ever, and they loved Miss Shelley. She just delivered it with so much interest, so much passion, so much information, so many facts. It was just the best history lecture ever. Then it came to the test. Now, Heidi knows a lot about this particular topic, but she happened to have a book in her backpack that had lots of notes that she'd written in on the sides of the book. Things that she'd read, things that she'd wanted to remember. Heidi had a habit of doodling little notes in her books that she was reading, and those notes were kind of like little facts, gems, things that she always wanted to remember about the book. She decided to take the test along with Goldie. Vaya and Cherry declined, but of course Lakshmi and Indigo had to take the test because they were part of this particular class. They had no choice. So everyone was quiet taking the test. Heidi came to one particular question that she knew. She had notes on in her little book in her backpack. Now here's the thing. The dilemma is, does she take her little book out of her backpack and look at the notes, or does she try and do the test from memory? Now, Heidi is a cat, and she isn't in school very often, and Heidi doesn't really know all of the specific rules about not being able to use textbooks or your phone or anything else during a test, right? So, unfortunately, Heidi took out her little book from her backpack and started to drum her little paw through the pages. She got to the page that she wanted. She found the answer that she wanted, and then she wrote it down on her test. And then she heard someone tutting. "Oh dear," the teacher said, standing in front of her. Heidi very slowly looked up and looked in the teacher's face, and the teacher looked a little bit pink and annoyed. "What are you doing?" the teacher said. Goldie stopped writing one of the answers that she was writing on her test and looked over at her friend Heidi, and Heidi had been caught cheating. Heidi, yes guys, Heidi had been caught cheating, but at this point she didn't quite know that. So she said, "Oh, hello, I was just writing one of the answers down." "Yes," the teacher said, "I see that. Where did you get that answer from, may I ask?" Heidi said, "From my notebook, my little notebook." "Oh," said the teacher. "Well, unfortunately for you, you would have to be completely disqualified from this test because there are no notebooks, no little tiny books, no phones, no notes, no communication during a school test. I'm surprised that you don't know that." Heidi was looking at the teacher as if to say, "Well, I'm a cat, and I don't normally come to school." Goldie started to speak, and the teacher said, "Goldie, be quiet. This has nothing to do with you." Goldie instantly kept quiet. She didn't want to get disqualified from the test. The points that she needed for the test was important for her grade. Lakshmi and Indigo, who were sat on the other side of Heidi, were also paused in anticipation, waiting to see what was going to happen. The teacher then said to Heidi, "I suggest you pack your little notebook with all the answers in back into your backpack, and you gather your things, and you take yourself to the principal's office." Heidi gulped. "Oh," she thought to herself, "this is very serious. Oh no, what did I do? What did I do wrong? Oh, I think I must have just cheated, and I didn't realize I was cheating." She went all pink in the face and got all sweaty and clammy and super embarrassed and upset, and she looked over at her friend Goldie, and Goldie just pulled her face as if to say, "Oh no, Heidi." And Heidi looked at Goldie and said, "Oh no." Cherry come in straight away to defend her sister. Excuse me, mister. OMG, like, can you just hold it a second? Right? We're guests in this class, right? We've been told that we could come to this class, and we were told that we could sit in with our friend Goldie and Lakshmi and Indigo, right? And like my sister, she is like the most perfect, most smartest, most admirable, most genuine person, or should I say kitty cat, that you would ever meet, right? And the fact that you're sending her to the principal's office when she's actually doing the test just out of like good sheer will that she just wanted to participate it in the testing, then that's not very nice of you, and you're making my sister squelch. Look at her. She's literally like sweating in her pants, and that's not very nice of you. The teacher looked at Cherry and said, I would like you to accompany your sister to the principal's office. Cherry looked all shocked and looked over at Vaya, and Vaya just went really quiet, as if to say, I'm staying out of this. Cherry said, You're making me go to the principal's office? What for? The teacher said, if you're guests in my class, then I am feeling very disrupted, and that's not good during a test. All of these students are taking this test very seriously, and a cat that's talking back to the teacher and another cat that's actually cheating on the test is not acceptable in my classroom, so I would like you both to leave right now. Vaya shrunk even smaller, and then she decided not to shrink. Vaya decided to be very loyal to her sisters instead and said, well, if they all leave in this classroom, then I am leaving too, so there. And the teacher said, well, there you go then, all three of you. Thank you so much for coming today. Take yourselves to the principal's office. Heidi, Cherry, and Vaya stopped arguing. Well, Cherry stopped arguing. Vaya stayed quiet, and Heidi just died silently. So embarrassed that she'd been caught cheating. They all got up, they grabbed their stuff, and they said goodbye to their friends very quietly. Out now, please, said the teacher, when Cherry was trying to give everyone a hug. Stop interfering with the process of the test, he said. The cats went to the principal's office, which they couldn't find, by the way. They had to ask at least 3 different kids out there in the corridors where the principal's office. But when they got to the principal's office, they knocked on the principal's door, and the principal opened the door, and Cherry said, OMG, I like your suit. And the principal said, oh, thanks. Yeah, this is one of my favourites. What are you 3 doing here? Can I help you? Yeah, said Cherry. Unfortunately, that nasty history teacher sent us to you, and he said that we had to come and see you for something, and we were like, what did we do? We didn't do anything wrong. Heidi interrupted and said, well, actually, I cheated on the test, and I didn't realise I was cheating. The principal said, oh, right, well, come on in my office, you 3. Come and tell me all about it. There were 3 seats sat across from the principal's table, and the cats sat in them. They told him all about everything that happened. Vaya stayed quiet. Cherry told him about the liberty of it all. I just don't get it. I mean, how very dare he? How very, very dare he? The principal, luckily, had a sense of humour, and he was a very sweet, kind principal, and he just smiled at Cherry. And then he understood exactly what happened when Heidi told him. He explained the rules of school and how you're not supposed to do notebooks or your phone or anything else. And Heidi explained herself and said that, she didn't realise that, and now she does. She would never do that again. And everything worked out okay. But the mere fact that Heidi had been called a cheat was just horrific. It was horrifying for her because she wasn't that kind of cat, obviously. She took her academics very, very seriously. But luckily the principal made her feel a little bit better about the whole situation and explained that the teacher was just doing his job and all of that stuff. Afterwards, the cats met up with Lakshmi, Goldie, and Indigo on the playground at recess, and they explained all about what happened. Their friends, luckily, were relieved that they didn't get into trouble for cheating. But Cherry was just a cheeky cat, so she was in trouble anyway. But you know. And they ended up playing with a bunch of other friends. They played a couple of rounds of wall ball, and then they had a lot of fun, and then the kids had to go back into class, and then the cats ended up going home. When they got home, Heidi needed to process. She talked about all of her feelings about cheating. Now that they understood that that was classed as cheating, they talked about how it's never good to cheat, how it doesn't get you anywhere, because cheating just is cheating yourself, really, because you didn't learn what you were supposed to learn. They went through all of the learning of what it was like to experience being caught cheating in class, and how embarrassing that was, and how degrading that was, and how scary it was when the teacher wasn't pleased with them. They talked about all of it, and after they talked for quite a long time, Heidi eventually felt back to her normal self. She felt better. After the long talk, the cats snuggled into each other, gave each other reassurance that they were always, always there for one another, that they had each other's backs, and they loved each other very, very much. And they would be there to support one another no matter what happened. And that was reassuring for all three of them. So in their own way, they all fell asleep that night, feeling really good that they had their sisters. And they also had some really good friends in their life, like Goldie and Indigo and Lakshmi. They were very, very lucky. The end.